And there we have it. Already a Danish player in the feature match area. A very well known, actually. Thomas Enevoldsen playing against Martin Kolding Jørgensen. Let's see what they are up to. Thomas Enevoldsen known for playing Dead and Texas in Legacy, but it seems like he's picked up something different here.
Yes, Living End, a very popular choice this weekend. I think it might be, it might be the time for Living End to become a real Tier 1 deck.
Yeah, as we already see some great new cards actually making it into the deck, letting it be even more consistent. There we already have Horror of the Broken Lands being cycled, and another copy, another of the new cards. We already see Desert Ceradon actually being cycled on turn 1, both of them, thanks to a Simian Spirit Guide. Already, I'm guessing, reacting to the turn 2 Scavenging Ooze?
Yeah, this is interesting because the Scavenging Ooze is a threat for Living End, but usually you add creatures faster to your graveyard than a deck can keep up with Scavenging Ooze in your graveyard because of the mana it costs.
Yeah, and it seems like Thomas Enevoldsen has a question about Fairy Macabre. Maybe the question is whether or not he has to remove 2 cards if he wants to discard it.
If he needs 2 targets and if it's mandatory to remove 2 cards.
Because he does have another copy of Simian Spirit Guide. He's just not gonna remove yet. There we go. So he's actually playing a turn 2 Demonic Dread and putting into play 12 power.
Yeah, the fairy is just a little bonus. He decided he doesn't need it for anything else.
That's actually quite an interesting version of the deck we haven't seen yet. The green card, do you know what that green card was?
I wasn't looking right now, but also Fairy Macabre in the main deck is not something that we always see. Maybe even for the mirror match, who knows?
Yeah. Look at that, and so... Yeah, it might be Beast Within a different art.
Promotional printing of Beast Within, or...
And we have not seen any Archfiend of Ifne yet, so maybe that one comes in after Cyber, or he's just not running it.
Would you play it in the main deck? I'm not so sure, because 2 mana to cycle is just really expensive.
Yeah, he went for the Architects of Will. So this is just how powerful a deck like Living End can go. It's good against the creature decks, and against the combo decks you can just drop into play 10 power on turn 2. And actually Fairy Macabre has some other upsides in this metagame, right?
Some fringe uses, absolutely. Like I said, I don't think it's necessary in game 1 because not every deck relies on the graveyard that much. But the fact that you are going to cast Living End means that you also want to remove opponent's creatures from the graveyards from time to time.
But I'm guessing the Fairy Macabre will come out next game.
Yeah, we are learning here from the overlay that Martin is on Kiki Court. Right now, not much to see about that. It's just the witness gives you an idea that this is not a classic, for example, Abzan build.
Cycle. That's lethal. 16 damage on turn 3. That's how quick it goes. A little bit surprised that he did not block with the Eternal Witness. Not sure what he was going to do with that on the later turns.
No, I think you can safely block there. It's just he was so far ahead, away from really putting anything together.
Yeah, and that's just turn 3. We already saw one turn 3 in round 1, and now from Living End on turn 3. But it seems like we have some commercials ready. Don't run anywhere. welcome back here in round 3 of Grand Prix Copenhagen. We saw a very quick game 1 from Thomas Enevoldsen beating down Martin Kolding Jurgensen before he could place Fortland. This means we get a quick look in between Bill Chronopoulos against Karel Meinung. Bill Chronopoulos playing Dredge. I remember Bill. Was he the player playing Dredge from Greece at the World Magic Cup?
I would assume so. I'm not exactly sure, but either way, they all know how to play this deck from their testing, of course. It's a deck that's kind of still under the radar, and it does need the right metagame to be really functional.
Yeah, I remember I played it at the World Magic Cup qualifier when it was not very well known at that point. I still had some problem struggling with the deck myself, but once it gets going and once you get to know all the little tricks you can do, it's actually quite powerful. It got a lot worse with the Golgari Grave Troll, but it's still functioning. It's still doing its job.
We played a version without the Grave Troll at the Team Modern GP because we thought that Death Shadow would be the most played deck, and Dredge actually has a really good matchup against Death Shadow.
Is that because of Conflagrate or?
Conflagrate makes it really difficult to bring yourself really low, just like Bloodghast, but also the fact that you can start blocking from very early on, but you're still guaranteed to win the late game. Mm-hmm. So if you don't draw Team or Battle Rage, it's already really hard, and then even that is very beatable with Dredge because they can also turn the race around and just hit you for 10 or 15 in one turn.
But anyway, let's look at this game. What's going on? We do have a Scavenging Ooze for Karel Meinung, so that's one of the better cards to have in play against the deck. But he is facing 2 Bloodghast, a 3/3, and an Arcamuba. So let's see what he chooses to block. He's also got the Eternal Witness, which could end up blocking. Problem is that blocking against Bloodghast is not very effective.
Yes, and Bill has a fetch line in play, so Karel knows that the Bloodghast will come back. If you look at this board, also you see why Conflagrate is so devastating. 3/1 toughness creatures and the Scavenging Ooze, should it ever block, is also a liability.
Yeah, and actually blocking the Bloodghast is worse than letting them resolve, because now the second priced Amalgam will come back. There is a second copy in the graveyard.
Yeah, but you can't just go too low because then the Conflagrate just kills you outright. It's funny how a lot of the graveyard-based decks, like both Dredge and Living End, I don't think they are too scared of Scavenging Ooze. This was probably the most powerful Scavenging Ooze you can get with mana acceleration, because we saw in the last game turn 2 Scavenging Ooze against Living End doing absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm. And a lot comes from the fact that I think both Bill and Thomas were on the play, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because on the draw, I think it's a little bit different. Or no, actually, Thomas was on the draw. Yeah, Thomas was on the draw.
But he had the Spirit Guide.
Yeah, the double Spirit Guide to make up for that. But I feel like if in this game, Karel would have went on the play turn 1 Noble Hierarch, turn 2 Scavenging Ooze, have
plus
1 mana
plus activation. Yeah, that's a different story.
Let's see what Bill Chronopoulos goes for. He's gonna fetch. Is he gonna trigger the Bloodghast? Because that's actually one of the nice things about the Dredge deck. You do not have to get back the Bloodghast. You can wait for end of turn to do it, just to play around cards like Anger of the Gods.
Mm-hmm. Not relevant here, but in general. The fetch lands do give you a bit more play with the Bloodghasts, with the landfall triggers.
Bloodghast, of course, also triggering the priced Amalgam, which is gonna come back end of turn, which is good that it's not at the upkeep of his opponent, because that would have given him the opportunity to remove it with the Scavenging Ooze.
Bill has to be just a tiny bit careful here that he doesn't die in a weird backswing, because there is a Gavany Township on the other side. But of course, he has with 14 life, he's not that close to dying. And Bill against these colors, Band or Abzan colors, he isn't really too concerned about overextending. Maybe Collected Company into a combo from the other side, but most combos we've seen, at least when they are built around the vizier, you cannot go off immediately.
The old combo would still work, but it needs 3 pieces. So.
No, Karl absolutely needs to survive one more turn if he wants to assemble something of his own, but his hand looks quite weak. I like the Spellcaller. I think Spellcaller is amazing in this matchup. Conflagrate, but also Cathartic Reunion.
Yep. You have to discard 2 first, and then it gets countered, so it's basically a 1 for 3, and you spend 2 mana.
To be fair, the Dredge deck is still happy to have the cards in the graveyard, but of course the difference between drawing 3 and not drawing 3 is basically an Ancestral Recall.
Yeah, and I think this match is about to be over.
I would say the advantage bar is clearly on Dredge, on the Dredge side here.
So it might be 1 or 2 turns. Let's just see how it plays out. Karl giving it a little bit of thought.
Karl has a lot of options.
Yeah. He can play 2 creatures. He can keep up mana for Scavenging Ooze. He needs to put into play enough blockers, though. He's got to be like tapping down that Noble Hierarch. Does this mean he still has enough blockers? He's got 4 blockers. Yeah. So that means he's got enough blockers.
No, he's not dying next turn, I think. Especially not with the active Ooze. Did he remove all Dredgers from Bill's graveyard? No, I think there's a life from the loam left.
Yeah. Bill really hoping to hit a Conflagrate here.
Well, that's why Karl has this backup green source in Birds of Paradise.
Yeah, but if he has to tap the birds, does he still have enough blockers? 1,
Just
2,
barely,
3, 4, 5. Yeah,
but
barely.
it's really close.
And don't forget that Bill can still play his second black source and play a Bloodghast. Just hardcast it. I think
classic Bloodghast beatdown, hardcast.
Yeah, I think Karl could actually end up winning this. No?
Because of the township or because of some combo? Retreat to Koraham shenanigans.
I don't know. It feels like Bill is put in quite some creatures, but he cannot get past it. And in the late game, I feel like Karl is just favored because of Scavenging Ooze. And there's Knight of the Reliquary, which will make sure next turn he's got more activations. There's still 2 creatures at least to remove to gain some life back.
But what happens if Bill just casts his Bloodghast here and attacks with everything?
He can block. Yeah, he will have to do quite some jumping.
Then his mana, he has less mana. I think the overall power of the Scavenging Ooze will be mitigated by that.
Yeah. Knight of the Reliquary is a 3/3, so that one can block a Bloodghast. Scavenging Ooze can block a price amount. The advantage is that Bill will not be able to play another land, so the Bloodghasts for 1 turn are not coming back.
Well, this is actually more relevant for the amalgams, because the Bloodghast will come with haste next turn again.
Yeah, blocking the Narcomoobie instead of the Bloodghast doesn't seem like a good plan. It might be tempting because it's got flying.
Yeah, you have to use all of your abilities.
But he is. He's tapping it for mana. Getting rid of Neonate. Going up to 8 and taking 7. But he does not have much left now.
Well, now he does have the Ooze, so...
Yeah, but there's still 5 creatures in play and he's at 1 life.
I would expect Bill to overwhelm that. But it's basically he's playing against 1 Scavenging Ooze, and I think he can beat that. But it's not a guarantee, that's for sure. Has the life total been updated? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. Nice. The Golgari tug still has to target, right?
Yeah, it just died, correct?
Yep.
you now have you now have the creature to put onto your. But you can just put the. Well, the nicest play is actually to put Narcomoeba on top and then dredge.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I think Bill doesn't have a dredger in the graveyard right now. But he will get a dredger into the graveyard. So
Yeah, he's gonna put the priced Amalgam on top, and then he's gonna play Life from the Loam. So now let's see. Carl should be at 1 if we manage to count right. Not at 7. If he would be at 7, that would be.
no, I think he went up to 8 and then he took 7 damage down
Yeah,
to
yeah.
1.
Oh, and he draws the Coral Helm. If he would have kept the Knight of the Reliquary,
Which he might have been able to do.
yeah, if he would have blocked the Bloodghast and then the birds on the priced
Amalgam,
Amalgam,
yeah. So his block, his suboptimal block might actually cost him here.
So let's see if he can survive this turn. He can go up to 4 and still and have 2 blockers. Is it enough? That's not enough, so he needs something else. He needs another forest, green mana. Gonna remove your Golgari Tug, so no dredging for you. There's still a life from the loam, but at least
But now the problem is also if you don't remove creatures, you don't get the life.
I go up to 2, tap my Temple Garden. I'm just gonna say go.
I mean, Carl is dead on board, and I think he knows it.
Kinda regretting the block there. Bill is not even dredging, just drawing the Amalgam.
You can
Amalgam.
hardcast it with a gemstone mine. So that was really well played, I think, by Bill. Not kind of staying calm in the face of scavenging ooze, which did disrupt him quite a bit. But in the end, the value was generated early enough before the scavenging ooze could really take over. And like you said, if that knight sticks around, it's a completely different game, of course.
There they come in. Double Narcomoeba, triple Bloodghast. That's a full house. Full house. Remove your Amalgam. Go up to 3
And
and die. Does he have a path to exile?
he's playing like he has a path to exile.
Tap for white. Remove your Bloodghast. Nope. There we have it. It took quite some time. We saw the writing on the wall 3 turns ago, but seems like it took some time. Let's move back to our main feature match. Living End from Thomas Ennevolsen against Kiki Court from Martin Kolding Jurgensen. Ooh, that's quite the board there. Double Rest in Peace, Archangel of Toon and Sigarda.
More like Angel Court.
Demonic Dread. Just to make sure the Archangel of Toon cannot block. Feel like it.
Opting not to cast it,
Yeah,
right?
because of Rest in Peace, no creatures in the graveyard anyway.
And Sigarda is a 5/5, so there has to be a block here. Because of being on 10.
Yep. He's got 8 damage. He's too short.
But what do you block here? Because
Oh, he's blocking the bigger one.
I think blocking this is greedy, but it feels smarter to me, especially with Rest in Peace in play. There's just a good chance that Thomas was kind of like semi-bluffing.
Feels like he was 1 mana short of killing his opponent with Violent Outburst.
Yes, absolutely.
So take 8, go down to 2, but now I have 9 flying damage.
Interesting spot there. I mean, Thomas had an alternative line there, right? Where he doesn't cast the Demonic Dread, but just attacks. And then depending on the blocks, he can still use the Violent Outburst, maybe even for lethal, or to wipe his opponent's board, or he has the Living End to just continue playing the game. But now that I see it, I think Thomas has another Demonic Dread, so maybe he was counting on that being lethal.
Yeah, because of Sigarda, the Living End doesn't do anything. It says sacrifice all of your creatures.
Okay.
So.
But this is the old Sigarda. Okay. In this case, Thomas didn't really have a choice. Yes.
Archangel of Toon, still very good. Once it's in play, it's gaining me a bunch of life every turn. Every turn, one more.
I mean, Thomas will have to Living End, and I think it will be at the end of turn. I think
maybe he doesn't have any more.
Oh, maybe because he also drew one of them.
Yeah.
No, didn't we see him cascade one to the bottom?
Oh yeah, that's right.
I think he's just delaying. He wants to delay this as long as possible. Okay, almost cast the Birds of Paradise there, because he would have gotten the counter had the Archangel killed Thomas Ennevoldsen.
Yep. Now we see the Beast Within on the Archangel of Toon. So Martin Kolding Jorgensen, he's gonna have a Beast, but Thomas Ennevoldsen actually has 6 mana. So anything he draws that's a big creature could mean he can stabilize without even needing to go for the Living End.
Yeah. Now it's time for Horror of the Broken Lands and Desert Celadon to shine.
Seems like he drew a land, so he's got 2 Violent Outbursts, 1 Demonic Dread, and 1 Living End in hand.
So maybe Thomas is forced to fire off the probably last Living End in his deck.
Hoping that Martin will not be able to find any more creatures. There we have it, Violent Outburst. Let's see. Oh, so he's got 1 more.
Then this means he has 1 more in the deck.
And this is also the advantage of the new version of the Living End. Your creatures are just better when you cast them.
Well, they were not that bad before, but now Horror of the Broken Lands I think is the biggest improvement. You get a 4/4 that can just deal 8 or 10 damage if it goes unblocked.
Yep.
And then the Celadon is nice, 6/4 with only a single mana to cycle. It's much better. In the previous iterations, you needed to pay 2 mana on the cycling, which I think was a big disadvantage, a big downside. Thomas' draw is kind of weird though. He has so many Cascaders in his hand.
He said go. He didn't play the Horror of the Broken Lands. Maybe hoping to hit some more creatures before playing his own.
I think there are two ways of playing this game. You can cast your creatures now and just hope that they are better than what the opponent has, which against Kiki Court is risky. You can also try to search for maybe a Maelstrom Pulse if you have it. Getting rid of these 2 resting pieces could completely change the game. I think Thomas is just not confident in his ability to win this race, basically.
There we have Voice of Resurgence from Martin. Thomas Ennevoldsen once again facing lethal damage.
Yeah, and now he's on 2, so not much more room to wait here.
Now he's gonna play the Horror.
But it seems that he should have played it last turn, the way things went.
Chord of Calling from Martin.
That should be lethal if he has Kiki Jiki.
Let's see, he does have quite some mana. 1, 2, 3. Could do it for at least 5 with his lands only.
And now Thomas actually doesn't have the backup instant speed Living End.
Yep, by not playing the Horror of the Broken Lands last turn, He doesn't have backup. Kiki Jiki comes in, copies Voice of Resurgence, attack with boat. It seems like we're going to game 3.
Okay, this is an interesting matchup because the Rest in Peace really forces the Living End player to play fair.
Yep.
Interested to see how this goes when Thomas is on the play.
Yeah, because turn 2, Rest in Peace, as we saw first game, could be too late. Could be facing 10 damage.
No, not Rest in Peace is different than Scavenging Ruse.
No. We saw Thomas play 10 power on turn 2 in game 1. He had double Simian Spirit Guide, double Cycler.
Okay, I mean that's
It's possible.
It's possible. Okay.
There we have it.
Maybe we see turn 1 Simian Spirit Guide Rest in Peace.
That's not possible, Simon.
It is?
No, Simon. Well,
Why not?
it's possible, Simon.
He's playing one to ramp out his Kiki Jiki.
Yeah, okay. Let's see about that. Anyway, let's move over to another match. Karel Mining against Bill Chronopoulos. And talking about turn 2 from the graveyard. Bloodghast, double Narkamubu, and still a Neonate in play.
I'm wondering what the negate countered, because if it managed to counter the reunion, that's a big win for Karl. Maybe not to win the game, but it's a good start.
Yeah, it's probably turn 3 for Bill. Well, actually, no, it should be turn 2. Here we have 2 mana, Voice of Resurgence, and Noble Hierarch. So I got plenty of mana. Now I just need to find big spells to play. I've played a bit with the Band Company deck and I've not been a big fan. I feel like the cards you're hitting with Collected Company are just not powerful enough.
Mm-hmm. Which company deck do you think is the best right now?
It's probably the one with the combo.
But just Abzan.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you want, you can play elves. We saw an interesting elf deck which also had the combo, but I feel that if you're really playing this fragile combo, you need all the rest of your cards to generate as much value as possible, which the Abzan creatures are just best at.
Now Dredge from Bill Chronopoulos gets back his life from the low, hitting a priced Amalgam. His graveyard is filled with 2 Fatalist Looting, a priced Amalgam, and a Darkmoor Salvage.
But he needs more dredgers. Is the I think in the top pile of his graveyard is a dark blast.
Yep.
And that I think could be key to winning this game.
But first he felt like he needed some more land, so he's gonna and life from the low with the new cycling land. So actually the dredge deck also got a little bit better. It's kind of
cycling
slow.
2 is very slow. I think for modern a tapped dual land that has cycling 2 is probably too weak.
Well, he's running 1. There we see.
Yeah, but this is like because you can, right? It's not because it makes your deck that much better.
So you think he played it thinking just because I can? I don't think it makes my deck better.
Exactly. There's a new deck. There's a new card. Might as well play it.
There's a Septica. Lightning Edge Axe is gonna kill the Noble Hierarch. Discarding, as you said, what he needed is another Dredger. Stink with him, goes to the graveyard, ready for next turn. And it seems like our main match is back live, so let's move over there and see what's up again between Thomas Enevoldsen and Martin Kulding Jurgensen.
Thomas is a great player, and I kind of hope that he will face some opposition here. It's just much more interesting to see the Living End deck struggle against at least one hate card. Rest in Peace, maybe a Scavenging Ooze.
Yeah.
But the true strength is that sometimes you just win on the spot.
Is that a double? It is. It's a double Simian Spirit Guide hand. He does not have the Cerodon though.
But he only needs maybe this one. Maybe it's already enough to get these creatures onto the battlefield that quickly.
And I like how he waits with his Violent Outburst for Jurgensen to play the Rest in Peace. But he's not gonna go for Rest in Peace. He's gonna go for Wall of Roots, and I'm guessing he's just gonna cycle some more here to have a more powerful Living End next turn.
I agree. If it's not something that forces you to go off on turn 2, I think you are happy to wait. That's just basically. Oh wow, no.
Is it? How much damage does he have? 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. He's got 17. If he draws another cycler,
Yeah,
he's actually got
that's
lethal.
probably also the reason. He is really likely to just win on the spot. If he has another violent outburst, it's also lethal. I don't know if he has the third land.
This version is quite aggressive from Thomas Enevolson. I'm guessing he's running 4 Simian Spirit Guides. All of these 1-mana cyclers. On top of that, Fairy Macabre and Street Raid.
Oh, and the Fairy Macabre also triggers the Horror of the Broken Lands.
Yeah.
You don't get to draw the card, but that's not actually the most important part.
There we have it. Cycle. +2/+1. And he draws a Ceradon. So that's actually lethal. Turn 3 kill from Thomas Enevolson twice in a row.
Very impressive.
And just because I can, I'm going to add 4 more damage. There we go. That's how powerful the new Dredge deck is. Living End deck is. Whoa. I told you.
New deck in town.
I told you. The new king in town, Living End.
Whoa. New kid in town.
Okay, the new kid in town. New kid in modern town, Living End. Thomas Enevolson moving to 3 and 0. Do we have another match going on? Yeah. Seems like Dredge is a little bit slower than Living End.
Yeah. I have to say, with the amount of creature decks that we're seeing, this Living End deck looks to be in a really good position.
Yeah.
And I don't think there will be too many rest in pieces.
It's too slow anyway. Conflagrate from Bill Chronopoulos. He's attacking with 3 Narcomoobas and a Bloodghast. 1/1/1. That's how good Conflagrate is.
Conflagrate is just utterly amazing in this deck. It's the thing is, you don't mind discarding the cards. You get the card oftentimes for free out of your graveyard, so you don't have to draw it. And then it just threatens lethal or a one-sided Wrath of God most of the time. And the synergy with Light from the Loam is just absurd. It's like I'm not happy to say that, but it's like a good version of Seismic Assault. You know?
So you're saying Seismic
No,
Assault?
I didn't want to imply that.
Okay.
I just meant Conflagrate is the real deal.
I remember that the early versions of Dredge had like 1 or 2 copies, but when I started playing it, I just moved up to 3 or 4. Like
Yeah.
you just always want to dredge it, preferably like in your first or second dredge.
There is certainly diminishing returns. So I can understand not playing 4 because, you know, you don't need 3 of them. But having 1 is so crucial to a lot of the games, especially when you consider Death Shadow and let's say decks powered by green mana creatures to be the best in the format.
And who said cycling Stinkweed Imp end of turn with 2 mana was too slow? There we go, Bill Chronopoulos. Another win for the graveyard-based deck over Band Company this time. That was quite impressive by both of these decks. Like
Yes.
beating Scavenging Ooze twice. That's just great. Seems like we do have some more magic after this, but first we're gonna give you some commercials. Don't run anywhere.